Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to dive into one of the most, frankly, mind-blowing transformations in medical tech, the wild evolution of hearing aids. We're talking about how humanity managed to take massive, bulky machines and shrink them down into the tiny, brilliant little computers that sit invisibly behind millions of ears today.
Okay, I want you to put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine having to lug around a heavy, literal box just to hear a conversation with your friend. Before modern hearing aids existed, that was the reality. People dealt with serious physical discomfort, totally obvious devices, and awkward dangling wires everywhere. It was a huge burden, both physically and emotionally.
Section 1. The era of bulky boxes.
If we look way back before the 1900s, the go-to solution was literally an ear trumpet, basically a giant acoustic funnel you held up to physically push sound into your ear. By the early 1900s, we got the first electronic hearing aids, but there was a massive catch. Fast forward to the 1940s, and these things relied on vacuum tubes. They were so incredibly heavy that users actually had to wear a large box strapped to their clothing, with long wires running all the way up to their ears.
Section 2. The transistor changes everything.
But then, everything completely flipped in 1947. That's the year the transistor was invented. And honestly, it's impossible to overstate just how much this single invention turned audiology upside down.
See, those old vacuum tubes were large, heavy, and sucked up a ton of power, which is exactly why you needed that big body-worn box. But transistors? They were compact, portable, lightweight, and way more efficient at managing electronic signals. Practically overnight, the old constraints of size and weight just vanished. Engineers could finally start designing devices that were genuinely portable.
By the time we hit the 1950s and 60s, manufacturers were really experimenting with this new transistor tech. They realized, hey, we don't need to hide a giant battery pack in a pocket anymore. We can take the whole shebang and tuck it right behind the ear. And just like that, the behind the ear, or BTE, hearing aid was officially born.
Section 3. Inside the first BTEs. Let's see how they actually worked.
These early models basically relied on a super elegant three-part relay race for sound. Step 1, a tiny microphone sits behind the ear and catches the ambient noise. Step 2, a miniature transistor amplifier takes that sound and beefs it up, making it louder. And Step 3, that amplified sound travels through a little plastic tube right down into a custom ear mold fitted perfectly inside the ear. 3 really simple steps that quite literally changed the world.
And this wasn't just a win for engineering. It was a massive leap forward for user confidence. Because these new BTEs were smaller, way more comfortable, and so much easier to hide right behind the hairline, people finally felt a huge boost in their self-esteem. They weren't tethered to a clunky box anymore. They were finally free.
Section 4. The shift to digital tech. Now, making things louder was a great first step. But as we rolled into the 1980s and 90s, the analog era started fading out, and we entered the digital age. Instead of just taking all the sound in a room and making it uniformly loud, which, as you can imagine, sounds like a nightmare in a noisy place, these devices started processing specific sounds intelligently. They started to actually think about what the user wanted to hear.
And wow, look at where that digital foundation has taken us today. Modern behind-the-ear hearing aids are absolute powerhouses, especially for folks dealing with moderate to profound hearing loss. They can actively squash background noise while simultaneously zeroing in on human speech. They connect seamlessly via Bluetooth to your smartphone, meaning you can stream music or phone calls right to your ears. They even use artificial intelligence to continuously adapt on the fly.
This is absolutely crucial to understand. These are no longer just simple amplifiers. They are highly advanced smart devices. The onboard AI literally senses your environment. It knows if you're chilling in a perfectly quiet reading room, or if you've just walked into a clinking, crowded restaurant, or if you're standing next to heavy outdoor traffic. It instantly tweaks your audio profile to give you the absolute clearest hearing experience in real time.
Section 5. Reconnecting with the world.
At the end of the day, though, the true impact of these devices isn't really technological. It's profoundly emotional. Beyond all the microchips and AI, these tiny marvels are really about restoring human dignity. They bridge the isolating gap that hearing loss creates between individuals and the people they love. We're talking about millions of people beautifully reconnecting with the world around them, participating actively in classrooms, feeling confident in the workplace, or just catching the punchline of a joke at a family gathering.
They give people back their conversations, their relationships, music, laughter, even the small stuff we take for granted, right? Birds chirping, footsteps, the rustle of wind.
There's a quote that hits the nail right on the head here. BTE hearing aids changed what was possible for people with hearing loss. And I think that just perfectly sums up how one of the greatest transformations in medical history totally redefined human potential. Because it's really not just about restoring a sense, it's about restoring a life's potential.
So we've gone from giant, heavy boxes powered by hot vacuum tubes to nearly invisible smart devices powered by artificial intelligence. It's just a breathtaking journey. But here's the thing. The future of hearing science and audiology has really only just begun. So we've got to ask ourselves, what unimaginable innovations are going to transform lives next? What happens when these devices get even smarter, even smaller, and even more deeply integrated into our daily lives? It's definitely an exciting frontier to watch. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I hope you walk away with a fresh appreciation for the incredible science sitting quietly behind the ears of millions.